This episode of the Closeout Bodyboarding Podcast is presented by Bodyboarding Victoria and Nomad Bodyboards. Check out the all-new range of Nomad boards, including the Lachlan Cramsey, Matt Lackey, Michael Novy, and Sam Thomas models at your local bodyboarding or surf specialist store, or online at www.nomad.com.au. Now, back to the crew in the studio. Welcome to the Closeout Bodyboarding Podcast, an audio experience where good mates discuss their love for bodyboarding. We'll also talk about some current topics and what we're all looking forward to in the future with a sport that we're all so bloody passionate about. I'm one of your hosts, Benny Oborn, and joining me again today is Shane Britton. Unfortunately, Chris Watson is currently away on assignment in the US of A. However, in his place, we've got the next best thing. Established filmer, editor and producer, the CEO of MJ Creative, Michael Jennings. Welcome to the Closeout, MJ.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Geno.
Took us a while, but we got there.
Yeah, better late than never.
For today's podcast, we're really lucky to be joined by an extremely special guest, hailing from the Sunshine Coast, a headline star of many bodyboarding films, including Visions, Rome, Leroy, Trash, and The Road. Winner of the 2016 ABA Big Wave Awards and also an ABA Tour event winner, former World Tour competitor and now a father of two residing in Lennox Head, New South Wales, working as an intensive care nurse and acting unit manager. The man, the legend, welcome to the podcast, pro bodyboarder, Michael Novy.
Thanks for
How are you, Michael?
Novy, welcome.
That was a big introduction.
Not bad, is it? He looks pumped up. Look at him.
How much is he paying you?
Slipped him a 20. So that's interesting, the intensive care nurse.
Yeah,
How'd you get into that field?
it's a bit of a weird transition. So I was did lifeguarding because it was quite a casual job that you could just come and go and like hanging at the beach. And
Yeah, you're doing that down at Avoca?
yeah, down on the Central Coast. So we'd do all the beaches on the southern end.
Yep.
And we did a bit of kind of medical training with CPR and stuff like that, and thought, oh, something where you get to help people out when they're in need, quite rewarding. So
Yeah.
that ended up getting me into nursing.
It's amazing how many lifeguards sort of move into that field.
Yeah. A lot of, when I was doing it, there was a lot of guys that were doing paramedics and stuff like that, and that was actually what I was originally going to do. You can do a double degree in nursing and paramedics
Yep.
during that, but my neighbour at the time had gone through some trauma doing that, so he kind of turned me off because he was a bit rattled by the whole thing, so
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
thought I'll stick with the nursing. It's a bit more controlled and less trauma and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. So you're working at Tweed Hospital?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a lot of bodyboarders in that area,
Yeah.
living in that area. So have you had the situation where someone's looked up and go, aren't you Michael Novy?
I've run into Lackey there once before,
Did
actually.
you?
Yeah, I think he was visiting one of his neighbours or something like that that was in the hospital.
Yep.
And then worked with a couple of other nurses that are bodyboarders as well.
Yep.
So, yeah. So,
Yeah, pretty crazy.
yeah.
So you started up on the Sunshine Coast? You grew up there?
Yeah, originally in Vico, actually, until I was about 5.
Really? Oh, Vico boy's back. We'll claim you.
I knew there was something special to get about this guy.
Whereabouts in Vico were you?
I was born in Sandringham.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
I can't remember this.
Mornington Peninsula. I need some Mornington Peninsula guy. We can claim him.
Okay. I don't even know where I was at that age, I guess.
No, we'll claim it. It's all good. So then you moved up to Sunshine Beach?
To Coolum.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah, up on the Sunshine Coast, and then pretty much was there till I was about 24.
Yeah, right.
It's such an interesting place to have a bodyboarding upbringing. I guess, the Sunshine Coast, from a waves perspective, probably doesn't get as much credit as it deserves. It really has, a really wide variety of wave options. Obviously not big wave options to what you're kind of now used to these days, but yeah, pretty interesting kind of background to grind your teeth, yeah?
Yeah, it was an interesting place to grow up. Like, obviously we don't get much, we didn't have much swell up there all the time, and if Moreton Island wasn't there, it'd actually be a really good place to surf, because you miss out on all the south swells, so it has to have a bit of east to get in there. And there is good waves there, it's just inconsistent. So I guess that made everyone super keen on travelling and stuff like that. And there was that many trips down to Iluka and Gold Coast and stuff like that, just to
long before the Bruce Highway got busy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was a lot easier back then.
I reckon you would have been mistaken as well, like from probably 2005 to 2015, there was a lot of bodyboard films coming out of there, and it made it look like it was pumping up there all the time.
Yeah, well, back when Kenny was filming, he'd be there, whether it's 3 foot and howling onshore, or he was very keen on. He'd spend a whole session just to get one usable wave.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
But then even outside of Kenny, there was Jade, and there was multiple filmers. It wasn't just him. Like, you know, for that small sort of area of, you know, there was multiple people filming. Like, it was a easy place to get seen, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And even though it takes about 45 minutes to get up to one end of the coast to the other, there was heaps of different guys filming at different areas. There was Kenny down the southern end at Caloundra, and then all the Sunrise Beach guys. And there was actually quite a few good films that came out of there, and even ones that weren't really that seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a lot of local bodyboard films from that area at the time too,
Yeah.
So how'd you get into bodyboarding? You know, what was your first introduction?
From memory, I think it was just my dad. My mum bought my dad a bodyboard, and then I just hijacked it and was taking it down the beach, and we were doing hand drags in the whitewash. And I grew up with 2 good friends that lived just down the road from us, and pretty much every afternoon we were down there. They all those 2 guys got into surfing, and then I just stuck with bodyboarding. I did pick up surfing for a little while, but I don't think it was that good, so stayed with the bodyboard, and then,
What made you progress, though? Like, obviously, if you're sticking and you're sort of by yourself and you haven't got a couple of friends that are bodyboarding with you, what's the incentive or motivation to keep?
The main thing, so I got really into the competitions. Like, I just remember back then, the QAB, it seemed like every time we'd go down to D-Bar, it was just like pumping every time, and got super amped on doing all the comps and stuff like that.
So was that club level as well, or?
Yeah, just the Sunny Coast club comp was really good. It used to be a whole day event, and pretty competitive. And then the QAB was really big back then. I swear they used to be like 3-day events for the state titles. You'd have that many people in them. And then it was actually, when I finished school, I did a year's worth of like plumbing.
Yeah.
And that just turned me off working 9 to 5. So I quit doing that, got a job at a restaurant, and then I just said, I'm just going to surf every day.
Yeah.
And some days
So that meant you were quite a bit older.
Yeah, that was when I finished school, so 17.
Yep.
And then...
so you didn't really have that motivation, like...
I was definitely...
15, 16, 17, where were you at with bodyboarding at that time?
Definitely doing all the club comps and stuff, but never... I'd kind of followed John O'Bruce and Liam O'Toole down to comps and stuff like that. Yep. I never really did as... Like, they tag along with those guys, and they always did really well, so they were always kind of my motivator to go on trips and stuff, and they'd used to take me along to Iluka. That was like back before I could drive, and they had a car, and I'd jump in the car with those guys, and that got me all pumped up. And then school ended, and I had to get a real job. And
Tooley's actually someone, Shano, that I think we can also claim as a Victorian if you kind of trace back his family lines. They're somewhere from the Gippsland region, I think.
Yeah, right. There you go.
So we'll take him.
So did you find Jono and Tooley were your main influences, or was there other guys up there that were...
Yeah, they were the biggest guys. Like, Tui really looked after me because I think he was the only one with an actual car out of all those guys. But so he was always the guy driving, and he'd I remember him picking me up from I think I took my board to school a couple of times, and he'd pick me up from the highway on the after school, and then we'd go down the coast and go surf Iluka and stuff like that for the weekend, and then come back and then go back to school. So yeah, they were always super keen, and I was keen to hang out and go surfing, and
So at what point then, when you're doing all that, does someone come along and stamp your passport as pro bodyboarder?
I was definitely. It was after like doing almost a year's work, doing Monday to Friday. I just went, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And then I think I won a comp down on I think it was the Central Coast, and that was, I can't remember. It was BSD that was sponsoring it, and then they were offering a sponsorship for the best up and comer or something like that.
Yep.
And essentially that kind of started me off, sort of thing. So I jumped on that, and then I think Ben Player actually kind of was involved in it somehow. I can't remember whether it was through movement or something like that. And then then I jumped over onto Element OP, and things just started rolling from there.
Yeah, right.
So spent a couple more years basing myself out of the Sunshine Coast, and then realised that there was better waves down the coast.
Just to touch a little bit on the sunny coast, obviously you said it, it generally missed out on a lot of those bigger south swales, but where were your go-to spots? And, don't feel like you have to give away too many secrets, but I guess we can all agree sunny coast isn't that much of a secret.
Yeah, funny enough, the Caloundra end of the sunny coast has probably the best waves, but also is the most sheltered from the swell. So that was often the go-to. Like whenever there was a bit of east in the swell, we'd kind of get in there, and then that was kind of the main hub sort of thing. That's where all the most of the reef breaks are, the beaches, all that kind of stuff. So even just on the coast, you'd be driving down there quite a bit to score waves. And sometimes, especially when I got a car, I'd drive down there in the morning, surf when it was offshore, and then I'd go hang out for a while, and then we'd surf in the Arvo at Sandals, that wedgie place when it was howling onshore, and make a day of it.
Yeah. You mentioned Kenny and Visions, and sort of that was the area you were living in at the time, and you became a major part of those films. How did that feel for you at the time, like when you see, you're starting to get major sections on films?
Yeah, I was pretty stoked, because at the time, that was Kenny's first movie that just kind of exploded, sort of thing. So it was actually quite a surprise. They had a really good response from everyone around, and it was at that stage it was all pretty underground, like the Sunny Coasters sort of thing. And then we were doing trips down to the South Coast and things like that. And then once the film came out, I think
was any Hawaii in that?
There was some Hawaii stuff. I think Kenny had bought most of it,
right,
off someone.
Yeah.
I had been to Hawaii at that stage, but we didn't have a filmer. We just kind of I went over with Jono and Tui and stuff like that. And
what year was that? What was your first year going over there?
First year I think it was 17 still. I was just about to turn 18.
Yeah.
And it was expensive back then.
And eye-opening.
It blew my mind, eh?
Yeah, right.
What did you see as the biggest challenge? I mean, I guess just back in the day, we saw a lot of that through print media, and obviously the occasional kind of video highlights clip that would generally come out months afterwards. But going there for the first time, what did you personally see as the biggest challenge or kind of...
The crowd, the power of the waves is just like out of control compared to, especially growing up on the Sunshine Coast, like the...
Yeah.
If we're lucky, we get a 12-second period, and over there it's like 18 to 22 seconds and long periods between the waves, and then when they do come, they're just... If you're not in the right place, you know about it.
Yeah.
And heavy too, like all the local guys. Even the first year I was there, I saw quite a few guys get beat downs because they were in the, like, fading some of the locals or...
That was pretty common back.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
It seemed to be, like, it was covered fairly heavily in the bodyboard media and everything as well, and, you know, the footage was on a lot of bodyboard films and everything as well. So.
Yeah, there's always stories of people getting chased down the beach or
chased off the island.
Yeah. Which is, it does need it, because that place is dangerous, and especially with such a crowd, like, I think if the local guys weren't so heavy, there'd be probably a lot more fatalities.
Yeah, right.
You've shot water there, MJ, as well, haven't you?
Yeah, Novy was out that session, and yeah, it's a daunting place. Like, I probably procrastinated on the beach probably a little bit long that day, thinking like, do I go out? Like, it's like standing on the cliffs at Luna's. You kind of, I don't know, you psych yourself out. But then, yeah, I'd seen other filmers basically, you know, jump out, like, you know, next to the rocks and then get dragged past and then like out the shore and then get smashed back on the beach. And then, yeah, I was lucky enough to make it out straight away. But then even once when I came in, it was starting to get like a little bit darker and a little bit bigger. And then you start to think like, oh, how am I going to get in? Like, it just plays on your mind.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's so much water moving out there, and it's not just in one spot too. There's waves that are coming from the west and then the north, and then, yeah, it's a dangerous place.
Yeah. So talking about, like, that was your first time you were talking about, but then the last time you went, obviously you and Jennings went together, and that was like your ninth time, something like that?
I think I've been maybe 11 times
right,
now.
okay. Yeah.
I think.
So how do you feel like now? It's almost, you know, being a veteran of travelling there.
Yeah, it's different now. You kind of you get a bit of a feel for where you need to be, and I just remember the first couple of years, you just, every time you see something break on the horizon, you're just scrambling to the channel or out to sea. And then after a few years of experience, you kind of know, if the swell's breaking out that way, it's going to fizzle before it gets to the reef. And if you see one comes from a different direction, you know you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
I assume there's generally guys, you know, local guys that you can perhaps keep your eye on when you're in the water to go, all right, if they're moving, I'm moving.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like when it's big, all the local guys are sitting kind of a bit further out, especially all the stand-ups. But then it's a lot of the bodyboarders, especially the either the locals or the veterans out there, like guys like Andre Botha especially. He'll be sitting way on the inside, and he doesn't mind getting a 12-foot washer on the head. So you keep an eye on everyone. So, you know, you see these big ones come through, and there'll be a whole heap of guys scrambling one way, and then the people like Andre and Stuart and stuff, and they'll actually go the other way. So, yeah, it's just a decision which way you're going to go.
Yeah. Was there guys you travelled with that made you feel a bit more comfortable, you know, travelling to that destination?
Yeah, definitely. They kind of give you a bit of guidance about where the landmarks are and which boil you want to be sitting near and the directions and stuff like that.
Like, out of all the Aussies that have been, who do you reckon would have the most experience out there? BP?
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah.
He seems to be one of the people that sort of, I don't know, he's had the most seasons. He seems to have it pretty dialed, especially with pipe, but yeah.
He's often the guy that's there for the longest in the season, and he's out there almost from dawn till dusk some days when he's when it's pumping. And he definitely I kind of shadowed him at times because he was always knew where to be and knew where the good ones are coming through and stuff like that. So I'd just sit inside him and hope that he was a bit far out and be able to scrap into something.
Yeah. So coming back to Australia, obviously you said you moved from the sunny coast down to the central coast. You do seem like one of those bodyboarders who has always been willing to pack up and move to destinations and stay there for a couple of years and then move to another destination. Like you've moved down to the south coast as well for a couple of years, and you're on the central coast for a couple of years. And that's kind of unusual. Like a lot of guys just tend to live, if I'm from Port Mac, I live in Port Mac, and then I go bodyboard and chase swells. What sort of brought you to those decisions to sort of like firstly move to the central coast and then, move down south?
Yeah, it was kind of just opportunities that arose sort of thing. Like when I was considering moving, Chad Waldron actually... I'd got to know him by that stage, and he kind of just said, look, there's a room at my place if you want to come down. And then, moved in with him, and then, hung out like with all the Tamarama guys and stuff like that because he was hanging out with them. And then spent some time down the south coast as well. I was just kind of going wherever the waves were and wherever there was opportunity. And There was plenty more thoughts about going on. I was like, should I move to WA? There's another good opportunity to like get some different waves and stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How was your time on the Central Coast?
It was good. Yeah. There was there's a good group of guys down there that are really cool, and they were all very welcoming when I moved down there.
Yeah, and because of that, you became a big part of the Waldron's films.
Yeah. It was good timing sort of thing. Like they were the first couple of movies, I just sort of lucked into being involved in their trips and stuff like that. And then, then when I moved down there, they were still making them. So I happened to go along on a lot of the trips, and like even one of them was just a trip for Winnie to have his own movie, but I got to go across and then managed to get a little clip for myself out of it and things like that. So.
Yeah. And when I actually went back, I think I was watching, I'm going to say Leroy the other day, and there's a section with Jose, and they're saying, Novy's one of us, he's one of the Rat Pack, part of the Tama crew and all that sort of stuff. Like, how's that feel to be accepted by, basically when you're moving around, to be accepted as a group like that?
Yeah, it was nice, Like, I guess because bodyboarding's a pretty small community, everyone's pretty friendly, opening. We're all chasing waves together, and you bump into people all over the place, sort of thing. So, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Like I was at that point, I had no other commitments other than going surfing. So, wherever someone was going, I'd try and jump on. Or
did you do the Cook's trip that was in Leroy?
Yeah, I was there that time. Yeah.
That was
come on, Benny, ask him all the
clip
questions.
is what made me fall in love with that place.
Yeah, it's a nice little island, and right around the whole thing in a 45 minutes. So it's always somewhere out of the wind.
Yeah.
So
You'll have to ask Shano about the statue they built in his honour.
Nah.
What's that about?
Nothing. Don't ask. Stitching me up. So then from there you moved down to Ulladulla?
Yeah, not
immediately?
Yeah, I kind of hung down there for a bit here and there.
Yeah.
Never moved all my stuff there. I just kind of hang down there for...
And that led to getting on the documentary The Road with the Thurstons?
I think I was still on the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, right. Oh, that was early on. Yeah.
So
I'm really interested in the road trip because it's one of those films that's debacle and highs and lows and everything all at once. And Bryce really captured everything really well. I thought when you go back and rewatch that film.
Yeah.
Especially in particular the missing boat. Chapter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a wild ride, that whole trip.
So, you being on that trip, and, like, I think both Glenn and Brendo, you know, they were both interviewed for that film and sort of said their points of view, but I'm really interested to hear your point of view, because you were in a position where you escaped a lot of the issues, but nearly, you know, hindered every other rider on that trip. So you were sort of right there watching everyone go through some shit. Obviously, you went through shit as well, but...
Yeah, it wasn't... I didn't get admitted to hospital or anything like that, like some of the other guys.
How did that trip come about, and how did it roll out?
It was... I can't remember who... Like, I think it was Brendo and Bryce that really came up with the idea, and then they kind of just... I think just invited me along, sort of thing. Like, I'd known Bryce for a while by then, and we got along pretty well. And then, from memory, I think I just drove down to the South Coast, and then pretty much we just packed the cars and left. Like, they'd already sort of started organising things, and they'd already been kind of... There's some of the surfing's from pre-leaving, so I wasn't there for those sessions. And then we essentially just went 20 hours west. Went straight to Esperance, like drove all the way across, which was a mission. Like, we were trying to chase this swell that was going through, and everyone wanted to go and surf Cyclops. And
how well known was that at that time?
I don't know how many trips there'd actually been there. Like, I know there was that. I
think Whitey and the crew might have done one that they'd kind of published prior to that, yeah?
Yeah, I think Chad Jackson had already been there, and then I want to say that was when he broke his back that time. So I think that was pre us going.
Yeah.
And I know we'd seen there'd been that Billabong Odyssey trip that they kind of had been past there as well. And I think Benwell and stuff had been over there at Benwell.
Crashy.
But yeah. And they were keen to surf that place, and had a boat and a jet ski. And
so is that how it went? Like, it was you guys with an idea and a boat and a jet ski, and having kind of an idea where it was at, and just sort of thinking, we can do it?
Yeah, essentially. The plan was just we're going to get on the road and chase waves for as long as we feel we can. And to do such a big drive straight up, like, it's a lot of spots to stop on the way, but there was a swell heading there, and that was the goal, was to really get down there and go exploring and stuff like that, because there's like, there would be so many good waves down there that have still been unexplored, because it's just such a wild,
so remote
environment. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about the boat. Like, it was, looking at it from an outside perspective, I mean, it looked...
You're helping your mate push the boat pretty much into wild seas as it was, because they're pushing it through a massive shore break.
Yeah.
Even you're watching the footage and you're going, well, what decision making's going on here?
The lack of boat. Yeah, that
way. Like back then, I thought, oh yeah, wow, a boat, like this is a decent boat.
Yeah.
Today you'd be like,
that's a Gumtree special, mate. That's what that is.
Oh yeah. And to take that thing out in the swell that we did was just like madness in hindsight. Like, and we'd driven all the way over there, and then it was almost dusk before we kind of launched the boat, and then decided to just charge straight across this huge bay. And because we're also like anxious about getting there quickly, the guys in the boat, they just took off. Thing. And then I was a bit hesitant.
So it was Brendo and Matic in the boat, from memory?
Yeah, and Luke Exisa as well, the photographer. Yep. And I was quite hesitant to actually get on that boat. So I conveniently
That's some good decision making.
I gave him a good push off the beach, and then
And waved Gilligan and the skipper.
Yeah, and I was
They
like,
took
"Oh,
off
mate,
into the sunset.
I might jump on the jet ski with you, Bryce." There was they were like, even in this protected bay, there was like 6 foot closeouts coming through. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the aftermath of that, they take off into the sunset, and what happens then?
Well, they just took off, and I think they assumed that we were going to be right behind them. But we obviously still had to bring the trailer in, put the other trailer on the car, and then get this jet ski out, and then load up with the gear that we had. And by that stage, we couldn't see them. They'd already taken off into the dusk.
Yeah.
And we just assumed that they would have gone straight across. But we were a bit anxious about taking the jet ski straight across this big bay. Like, it's, I don't know, probably 15 Ks or something to the other end. And so Bryce and I decided to take the shoreline just in case anything was to go wrong. We weren't
Smart.
in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
And I think what happened was that those guys had got some way out, thought, oh, we probably should have waited for the other guys, turned around, come back, and then realised that we'd already gone, and then they were actually ended up behind us. So we got to Cyclops like in the last light. And
So for reference purposes, this is a very tiny island in the middle of the ocean, correct?
Well, it's a little island off the end of a point, and that's at the end of a bay essentially. But there is other like reefs and headlands and stuff kind of towards the end, so it gets pretty dangerous in the dark when you're getting to that last section. So when we got there, you're kind of like squinting your eyes, trying to look out for whitewash because you don't know where something's going to break. And we saw, I want to say there were probably like 12 to 15 foot waves in the dark.
Yeah, wow.
Breaking on that Cyclops shelf. And who knows how big it was elsewhere, because even when you're at Cyclops, there's breaks that are out further, and they're probably picking up even more swell.
Right.
No safety equipment on board any of the vessels? No sat phones, no EPIRBs?
No flares.
No,
flares?
none of that, no.
No common sense.
Yeah, well, the common sense and all the safety equipment was still on the full drive on the beach.
From the film, it was literally a wing and a prayer.
They were just, I think they ended up just following the stars by the end of it. Yeah.
So at what point do you guys raise an alarm? Like,
Oh, it wasn't.
how far in?
Well, we got to the bay inside of Cyclops, and we couldn't find them. We were just like, they should be here by now.
Yeah.
Like unless they've spotted something on the way, they should be here. Like, and we waited and we waited, and we got more and more worried, and we didn't really have anything on us at that point to signal. So it was pretty much dark by that stage.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of yelling and screaming, and we waited. Pensy actually drove the car up because the sand's too soft to drag anything on the high tide up that beach. So he was in the car and drove one of the trailers up. And then by the time he got there, I think it was a couple of hours later.
Yeah, right.
And we took the car up on a sand dune, and we're flashing the lights out, trying to signal them, but we had no idea where they were. And then
This makes me feel ill hearing this story.
Yeah, well, you watch that film and it makes you feel ill. Like, at what point does, because you end up having choppers looking for them and a full escalated search, looking for them.
Yeah, it was an ordeal that went on all night long. Like, even we drove the car back down the beach along the bay, and they were
Looking for pieces of boat.
yeah, essentially, or like turning the car towards the short out to the ocean and flashing lights, trying to assume that they're out there somewhere and that they might see the lights of the
lighthouse.
car and
yeah,
and have some sort of guidance to which way they were going, because they would have just been blind out there.
Yeah.
With all the headlands and bommies and all the swell that was there at the time, it was just, we just thought the worst.
So how did it come to an end?
Well, they somehow had got on to, like, there's no phone reception out there, so I think had to drive back, call the Coast Guard. They essentially said, look, we can't send anyone out till the morning because it's, I think they sent one plane over that had some sort of infrared thing through the night, but they said essentially we're going to have to come back with a chopper in the morning and look for them. So all night long we're just thinking that they're washed up on a island somewhere and maybe stranded in the ocean, or they've been eaten by sharks or anything, like thinking the worst.
Yeah.
And first light in the morning, the chopper was there, and they're going back and forward and get back and forward, like between where we'd launched and where we'd arrived. And then they were just like, we can't find anything. There's no sign of them anywhere. Like there's no.
And what was
no
going
wreckage.
through your head?
Oh, we thought they were gone.
Yeah.
Like, we even resorted to praying, and I'm not religious, but
Wow.
I thought we'd just lost 3 people at sea and we'd never see them again. And that was
I think that's what got the boys through, right? And I, don't quote me on this, but something like "How great is our God" was something they were all singing together.
Well, those guys actually believe when you get someone that doesn't believe, like Novy praying, it's
Brendo and Brandon Foster was there as well, and they were both very religious
as well.
So they were very much in the, there's some stars up there, this is a sign, and they headed off down there. But Harry and Luke were both on the boat, and they were just like, we're going to die.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
This is just out of
Sounds
control.
like a healthy balance of motivation, doesn't it?
After that ordeal, massive, scary situation, really, where you think you've lost your friends, and how do you even motivate yourself to continue on? And then you're going out on a huge swell to one of the, most notorious waves in Australia.
I guess, once they came in and we're all relieved and stuff, I don't even know if we surfed the rest of that day, even though I'm pretty sure there was like amazing waves out there. We were just too rattled, and we'd been up all night. But I guess we just thought, well, we've been through this ordeal, it should be smooth sailing from here on in.
They're kind of just young and dumb. And just going to keep powering through.
Yeah. And then, sure enough, first surf that we had out at Cyclops, Pensy went over the falls and pierced his foot on the
Feet
reef
first or something. Yeah.
And then off to the hospital. So it wasn't.
So that was first wave.
It was the first surf. I can't remember. Yeah, it might have only been pretty. It was pretty soon into the surf, but that place is so dangerous.
Yeah,
like. It barely looks rideable.
Yeah.
And I've never seen barnacles so big, like those things that as long as your finger sticking out with like 50-cent piece round holes in them. They're just razor sharp. So I can see why anyone that touches the bottom out there just gets sliced up.
So Pensy goes over?
Yeah, lands on his foot and has to go to hospital.
Yeah.
So,
and that's on you guys. You pack up and...
No, well, we thought, well, there's only one car. We've got the jet ski and the boat. They're going to have to take... I think they took the jet ski back and they had to take the car, so that was that gone. And then some of us stayed and we ended up surfing again that afternoon, and it ended up being like really good and had picked up, and I want to say it was just me and Harry Dixon still there,
Yeah.
and Bryce, and we got like quite a good session in that time.
So how do you feel about surfing the place yourself? Like, give us your insight. It's certainly only a small amount of people have done it.
Yeah. Well, those times were what you would call fun, even though it's on a really shallow shelf. But the next time that we went there, it was like 8 to 10 foot, and I sat there in the channel for a while just going, all right, that one's rideable, that one's not, that one's not, that one's not.
Yeah.
That one
Talking to
is.
yourself with doubt in your voice already. Yeah.
So it was almost like, oh yeah, there's probably a 1 in 4 chance that. So one of the waves out of the set's good, but yeah, it is. It's scary. Like there was one wave that Brendo took off on, and I don't know. In hindsight, I don't know what he was thinking, because that thing was wrapping almost back onto the reef before it had even stood up, and he ended up getting washed up on the barnacles, down again. Another wave washed him over, and he ended up on the other side of the. So he'd not got to the channel; he got pushed over the back side of it, and when he paddled back out, it looked like Wolverine had sliced open his board. He had like slices through the rail, like probably an inch deep, like just razor sharp cuts through it. Not big chunks, but just like a razor.
Was
almost
this the wave where he punctured his face?
No, that's another incident.
Oh dear!
And that's actually another wave that's out on another bommy.
So that wasn't Cyclops.
No, that's
Wow.
one that we kind of nicknamed Salty Dogs, because right.
Yep.
It was quite a few. Could have been like 10 k's out to sea. So we're on the boat going out, thinking that we're seeing these like explosions on the horizon, and you're just windswept and bouncing up and down, and yeah, got out there, and the wind just seemed to swing in the right direction. Like, this thing is open to any sort of wind, and it just ended up lining. Like, there's no island out near it protecting it, so it's like.
How do you even line up in a wave like that?
Oh, I don't even know. I volunteered to drive the boat, just to see what the test dummies.
This whole trip, you seem to make all the correct decisions, and everyone else just at one point or another seems not to have.
Yeah, there was a lot of injuries on that trip, hey? And thankfully avoided ending up in the hospital. Or
You are the Teflon man.
So yeah, there was that wave is wild, hey. And there's also a piece of that reef that sticks out of the water after everything. So I'm pretty sure Brendo's face went across that barnacle covered rock that time. Because
so how's that session wind up? Like, he does, the injury.
Same thing again. We're back to the hospital.
Yeah,
again.
wow.
And the hospital's not close either.
No, it's at least a half an hour boat ride in, then you're going up the other end of the bay, so there's another, I want to say 45 minutes, and then it's another hour and a half or so to town. So meanwhile, we've bandaged up his face like a mummy to stop all the bleeding, because you can almost see a hole through underneath his lip. He goes back again. Oh, a different guy this time.
Oh.
Yeah.
So moving on from that trip, and going back to all the pro stuff, like, do you remember your first photo in a mag?
I think it was something small, like in a
Yeah.
probably just a little like post-it stamp kind of size one, but I would have been real stoked on that.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of started off just getting a little bit of recognition, and then things kind of just, I don't know, got kept on going, more and more trips, and and more and more opportunities to try and go on these photo shoots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have a favourite photo of yourself?
probably have to be the wave at the right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I still remember that one. Like, it's hard to remember all the waves, all the best kind of waves of each place, but that one, still sticks in my mind. Hey,
That's an amazing story though, because you're not thinking about winning anything or doing it. You're just at the time, in the moment, and it's an amazing wave. Damo Martin towed you into that, is that correct?
Yeah. So,
shout out to Damo.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's 99% driver.
It's an amazing wave too, because it really looks like you backdoor it, like it's a proper.
Yeah, well, the only reason I ended up in that position was because Mark Matthews fell off.
Oh, really?
So he was out there, and he went to get towed onto it and fell when he was trying to get up, and then
Proper
Damo's
cooked
it. And then Damien Martin was just like, "We're going," and I was like, "Hang on a second," trying to look at this swell line, and I said, "Yeah, okay, go." And then by the time we were actually up on the plane, I was looking and I was like, I'm on the wrong side of the reef here. I'm like, I think I might have to go, like, track back and go left and just fade out sort of thing. And then it was almost, because it was so late, I had no option. I just had to go. And I was like, well, it's better be inside when I get wiped out rather than copping it on the back. So
This is strange to hear this, because we're talking in real time speed here, but in that moment that would have been happening at a far quicker pace.
Oh yeah,
the decision making that has to happen in split second.
Yeah, it was. There was a second.
That's what makes the best bodyboarders though. Like, and that's what puts you guys elite, is the quick decision making. It's obviously fitness and training and everything as well, but. Yeah, the split decision making that you guys make.
Yeah, and I guess it just comes with spending a lot of time in the water, and and I don't know, that wave especially, because that was only my second wave out there, and the first one I was bouncing. Like, I've had a weighted board that custom board that I had sand and stuff in the stringers.
I remember.
And even on that first one, I was like bouncing down the face, kind of like dragging my legs, hoping, like trying to lock into the thing. I was like, if I had have bounced on that main one, I probably would have lost too much speed and not got through. But it just luckily hollowed out so much that I was just going like Mach 10 through that thing.
Yeah.
And even then, I was like, "There's no way I'm coming out of this."
But then you see the waves of like Josh Garner and stuff like that. Like, you can imagine what could have happened with that wave. Like, given the experience of the trips that you've been on, like after we've just talked about the road and pretty much everyone just getting fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like that could have been one of the biggest wipeouts.
Yeah.
Period.
That's what I thought when I first saw it wrapping in, because the ones that go south often. They look like they're going to throw, and then they just kind of like roll over themselves. And yeah, a lot of those times when there's those really bad wipeouts, they just hook that little bit too south, and then you just end up sometimes with a left coming back at you. So,
well, talking about those big wipeouts out there, like Damien Martin's got one of the more famous ones, I think, out there. Did you tow him into that one?
Yes.
Jeez, mate, come on.
In my
do
defense,
the bloke a favour.
In my defense, he wanted those ones, and I triple checked with him. I said, "Oh, do you want this one? This one looks massive." Like, and he's like, "Yep, I'm going. Let's do it." And I towed him in, and that thing was like, it was feathering out behind the reef almost, and let him go. And I looked down, I'm like, oh my God, what have I done?
So with the right because you go out around the back, like how do you see what happens next? Because obviously you can't see from the back. So is it just like your immediate reaction is to go, all right, well, I've got to assume that they're not coming out, so I've got to go pick them up? Or what's your mindset once they do let go? Like what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, it's one of those like deep water bombies that you just, it looks like a big bolt, like it's a ginormous big boulder in the ocean essentially, but like on a large scale, and you just see the water draining off. And especially on those ones, there was a lot of water draining off, so you could just tell that thing had so much water behind it. And yeah, you just you're following the back of the swell, and you kind of look into the channel to see what the reaction of the guys on the jet skis in the channel are doing, and if they're either hooting or they're cringing, and you're like, oh God, I got to go find him now in the whitewash.
Well, with those kind of waves, like, do you think with a high tide that it would have broke differently, or was it just he was...
Oh, I think it was just one of those waves. Yeah, every wave's got its limit to how much it can handle, and I think they were getting it, pushing the limit.
Yeah, so that wave won you the ABA Big Wave Award for that year, and in that same week, you also won the ABA D-Bar event.
Yeah.
So that's two massive extremes. Like you've basically ridden the best wave, the biggest wave in the world for that year, and then you've also won a comp at 3 foot D-Bar.
Yeah.
Both amazing achievements, and you've done it all in 1 week.
Yeah, it was. It was a very nice surprise. Hey, when I ended up coming out with two trophy sort of things.
But more to the point, did you buy Damo a beer afterwards with the winnings?
He's given a look, but I don't think he did.
I think he still owes him a beer.
Damo owns his own beer company now. He's fine.
You've dodged yet another bullet there, by the sounds of it, Nobes.
I think we need to give him a shout, though. He owns the Milton Hotel down in Milton. On the south coast. Oh, he's running it. And restaurant and
so
brewery.
He's got his own brand now, which is called Dangerous Ales.
Yes.
So it's run out of Milton, and then they've got their own basically brewery as well.
Yeah. So well done, Damo. And if anyone's down that way,
stop in for
go buy a beer on Novy's behalf.
It's an open tab. It's an open Novy's tab.
So moving on, Rome. You are quite synonymous with the entire Rome series. Weirdly, you actually weren't riding for Nomad at the time, but you were, basically a good friend of the team the entire time, and you didn't really actually sign with Nomad until 2013. So, but I really want to go back to Rome 1 because, like we've just talked about, all the toe-in surfing that you've done, and your section, I reckon, is about 70% toe-out surfing in that film.
Yeah.
Which makes you, a fairly experienced, rider when it comes to skis and all that sort of stuff.
Pretty much a full all-rounder.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm kind of interested, obviously the Tension guys really started that toe-out sort of stuff, and you guys really took it and ran with it, with Rome and Rome 2 in particular. What made you sort of, become an expert in that sort of area, do you think? Because that was really, a time where it really started taking off.
Yeah, I don't know. We were just... Bryce was filming at that time. He had his jet ski, and we were just down there all the time. So we were just trying to make the most of every opportunity to try and get footage and stuff like that. So we're towing out little beachies. They towed out at Nungan and all that kind of stuff. And
looking at that footage, like you're not going slow. Like the revs on the ski, lining up those sections, you're flying.
Yeah, and a lot of it is the driver as well. So if it's
and timing and decision making again.
Yeah. But if the driver's getting you into that late, and you're going Mach 10, you're going to end up in the lip. or the flats, and can be a very, very painful experience. Like when you go on that speed and then you hit a closeout and land in the flats. Like it was almost a couple of injuries.
Going back to the hospital.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a common theme, though. You've been able to, throughout your entire career, align yourself with many filmers. So first it was Kenny, then it was the Waldrons. Like, obviously, do you think that's helped you build your brand? Like, you know, being able to be out there and being in the videos, like, you know, everyone remembers like those iconic films, whether it be Visions or, you know, the Rome series and stuff like that. Do you reckon that's what made it easier for, like, it sort of paved your way?
Well, I guess it's part of you're always chasing waves. It's good to get like there's always filmers that are keen and sort of lining up with the guys that are super keen at the time, and I suppose it's kind of amps you up to go harder, like, as well. So rewatching footage is always, like, even when I was on the sunny coast, we would film each other surfing 2-foot waves, and it's just always an opportunity to try and better your surfing, sort of thing, when you get to watch it. And just happened to get along with Chad Waldron and Bryce and Kenny and stuff like that, sort of thing. So we're always kind of all on the same path at the time. So
I obviously lived with Joe for a long time as well, and I noticed that when him and I did film together, like, his progression went through the roof, like, really, really quickly by just, you know, I'd come home from work because I had a normal job as well, and he'd be in my room watching, like, just rewatching clips and clips and clips. And then I found that was the easiest way for him to progress quickly.
Oh, it definitely is. Like, when you get to rewatch your own surfing, sort of thing, you can pick up all those little errors and fine tune things. So, like, yeah, it's a good feedback thing that you can kind of work on and stuff like that. So
is that where the crossed legs come from, the sunny coast thing?
Yeah. Oh, there definitely would have been a lot of I've got some VHS tapes of us surfing, like, 2-foot little shore breaks, and all you're doing is working on crossing your legs the right direction and all that kind of stuff.
Jennings, didn't you recently tell me that Joe used to watch Novy section in Visions?
No, so I'd never, like, growing up, I didn't live on the Gold Coast, and then Joe always used to mention Southwall, and then I'd never been there. I'd never seen the wave, and then there was one wave that he always described of you. It was like, basically, you go in on the wedge, you do a spin into the pit, and then you do like a flip out, and he's just like, man, it's the best wave ever. It's like this left wedge and rah. And it was always the same wave that he'd describe of yours at Southwall, and that was his bread and butter. That was like how he described Southwall, was this one wave of Novy. And I reckon I've heard the story so many times. It's like, oh, you haven't been to Southwall? Oh, Novy did this.
So in a nutshell, Jeno, you used to come home from work and find Joe in your room watching a one wave on repeat of Novy, and he was sweating hard. Like, it's getting creepy.
Pretty much.
Box of tissues next to him.
Joe still loves that wave so much, eh? Like, I live just down the road, and I just hear of him being there all the time. And
well, it's the ferry. The ferry's like almost $10 to go across one way. Like, it's daylight robbery.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start winding it up, and we might go into the quick fire question round. Favourite band?
Oh, geez. It's changed over the years. To put me on the spot right now.
Being from the sunny coast or living up there, it's got to be something heavy metal.
You seem to have a lot of songs.
Amity Affliction.
It'd be probably, I don't know.
Killswitch Engage. Did you have a few? You got quite a few sections with Killswitch Engage, don't you?
Yeah,
it's not just one; it's like a couple.
Yeah, but was that Kenny or was that you?
No, because one was on the road.
Yeah, it was a bit of both.
Your section on the road, Killswitch Engage.
Yeah, both really enjoyed it, but that used to be my thing back in the day.
Favourite film?
Oh, jeez. Blade Runner at the moment.
Blade Runner. The original?
I did watch that recently and it was good, but I'd only just watched the new one. I'd never actually seen the one, the old one, but they're both pretty good.
Yeah, nice.
Rewatched it last night.
Favourite car?
One that he's owned or he'd like to own?
Oh, he's allowed to dream.
A Tesla.
Tesla. Yeah, that is a nice car.
Geez,
Very
that's
sleek.
just that's a controversial answer, mate. It's controversial.
Come on, mate. Favourite TV show?
I don't watch much TV these days. It's always Netflix.
That's fine. That's still whatever. Yeah.
Is it something that's kind of aligned with your career path, like Grey's Anatomy? You know.
No, not really, actually. Yeah, no, I think I get enough of that at work. Don't want to watch anything medical when I go.
Definitely not.
Just some light-hearted humour or something.
Yeah. Or something you're probably more going to be involved with. Favourite bodyboarding film?
All right, The Road, because there's a lot of memories attached to that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And that was quite a few months of my life there.
Yeah.
So it was quite an interesting documentary of it. Visions, yeah.
Yep.
Remembering the old days of just being a grom and frothing.
Do you have a favourite section?
Of myself, or?
Doesn't have to be of yourself. It might be of someone you look up to.
It'd probably have to be an old Stewart section.
Yeah.
One of the old movies. I used to have them all taped on a single VHS tape and just watch them back to back. So,
Have you ever been mistaken for someone famous?
I was copying Keanu Reeves the other day because I had long hair and a beard.
Oh, nice.
Like the old Keanu
If you're going to go with
Reeves
someone, you might as well go with someone good like that. First
I
board?
think they were just more taking the piss.
First board?
First board?
Yeah.
I want to say... I know it was way too big. It was about 43 inches and I was
Wow.
definitely way too small for that.
Yeah, right. Jesus.
I want to say it was a hot buttered or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was made
Is
for a man and I was
this
a
the
child.
board that your mum bought for your dad? Was that the first board?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. So I essentially claim that as mine.
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
It wasn't bought for me.
but you got a favourite wave?
Oh, the right.
Yeah.
Oh, as in one wave or
Yeah,
a
well,
wave
yeah.
in general?
No, it can be,
Both.
if you got one you surf regularly.
Nunga would have to be up there. Not that I've surfed there for a while, but that's probably one of the most unique waves in Australia and the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Favourite surf trip?
Probably Tahiti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've had some good
places
stuff out
like
there.
Paradise, eh? And
Yeah.
then there's one of the heaviest waves in the world right there too.
Yeah.
What
And last
about
question.
what about next surf trip, mate? What's in the mix?
Don't know yet. We're trying to organise something for later in the year, maybe a boat trip, which would be nice.
We're going to have a talk later tonight about that.
Yeah. Haven't been on a boat trip yet, so that would be a first.
We know Benny wants to go back to the Cooks.
Told you, lads. I've got it all planned out. All planned out.
Yeah. Benny the travel agent. And last question, favourite move?
Backflip. Reckon?
Yeah. And just before Benny starts winding us up, weirdly, I was speaking to my brother 2 days ago, just going, trying to work out what date this film was done and, when you were riding for us, and you started riding for us in Rome Diaries, which was 2013. And I got Mark to check it and everything, and it all, which means, as of right now, you've just ridden for Nomad and Limited Edition for 10 years.
Yeah.
So cheers, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time, and hopefully it's another 10 years as well.
If the body can handle it.
No, cheers, mate. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, folks. So once again, thanks for tuning in to the Closeout Bodyboarding Podcast. Big shout out to Shane and MJ and also Novy for joining us today. Also want to give special mention to Sam Watson for production, MJ also for tech support, and Rob Porteous and Remote for the music. So tune in next time, folks. Thanks again. Take care.